Hi everyone. In this video, I'm going to show you a sermon note from a book that I have dedicated to sermon notes and spiritual activities. Let's go ahead and open this up. Today, I'm going to talk with you about the note, Let There Be Time by Jeremy Arnall that I took on 6/21/2025. I always try to put the title, the author or the speaker, and the date at the top of my note. And for this particular note, the pastor was speaking about Genesis 1, verses 14 to 19, which is day 4 of creation, where God divided the light. We measure what is important. We measure time, we have clocks, we have watches, we like to measure our weight and keep track of our weight. And then we also measure money. We have bank accounts, we check, we count the money in our wallet, and so on. Time is a very important thing that we like to track. In this note, I have a picture depicting God dividing the light day and the dark night, this dividing of time. You'll notice that there's a little fold out here. This was my original note that I drew. And as soon as I drew this character, I was incredibly dissatisfied with my work. I still took the note. When I got home later, I redrew this and did this little fold out. As I've mentioned in the past, whenever I have a headshot and a speech bubble, this is an important point that I want to capture. God wants us to value time. However, faith and grace are greater than a schedule. We need some flexibility in our day-to-day lives. I also will highlight key passages with some lines around it and some sparkles. Eternity does not need the sun. However, these bodies, the sun and the moon, are still necessary. They will still remain because we have weeks and months for weekly celebrations, as it talks about in Isaiah 66:23. Again, this is a note that I thought was important, so I put in a speech bubble with a character. Jeremiah 31:34-36 basically says, the sun and the moon are reminders of God. Whenever we look up to the heavens, we should think about God. God, in Genesis 15:22, told Abraham, your descendants will be like the stars. And our pastor had this quote, God has never failed a single soul. When I draw stars, I read this tip somewhere that draw 3 large stars, about 6 medium-sized stars, and then little dots, maybe 12 little dots for smaller stars. That gives you a nice star field. Here's another quote that I like. God's timepieces tell stories of his love. And you'll notice that I made a little error here. That's okay because we're taking notes for learning, not for art. So day and night shall not cease. In our lives, we need to have some routine and some scheduled activities as a family. Meals are a great time for families to come together. Bedtime is a good ritual, especially with children. Then we also need to have family worship on a regular schedule. And then the question at the end of the sermon that the pastor left us with is, will you keep your appointment with God? If you like this content, please like this video and subscribe to my channel, Notes for Learning.